Hi, my name is Singh. Welcome to the Sunny Side of Finance podcast. There's a million gazillion podcasts out there. Hey, listen, I got a lot of people that followed up from the last episode and they're like, well, Sunny, hey, where are those tactics? Where are those strategies so that we can win at the buy? Which is what I said. My recommendation is if you're going to buy in this market, you have to win at the buy. If you're purchasing a property at an overinflated price, what we know to be high interest rates right now, okay, higher interest rates than what we've seen. Let's say values start to shrink in the near future. Now you could potentially be faced with being underwater on a home. If you don't know what that means, or if you haven't lived through 08, 09, then let me break it down for you. Let's say hypothetically, Susie goes to buy a new build home from a home builder. She's buying in June, peak season, right? June, July, August, heavy sale season. She goes and purchases a property. The list price is $550. By the time she gets there, it's the last phase. There's a couple offers on the table. So she goes in and offers $560. The builder says, hey, we are giving a special promo rate that doesn't exist if you use our in-house lender. And we throw $10,000 towards that in-house lender only if you use our in-house lender. Well, are they really throwing it to the lender on your behalf as, a share from their profit? Or is it really already baked into the sales price? Right? So now you do an appraisal. Appraiser sees all these new builds. Appraiser ends up appraising it for $560. Or let's say the appraiser appraises at $550. You are somehow convinced that by the real estate agent and the builder that, hey, you should pay more for it. So you pay out of pocket because you really like the home, blah, blah, blah. I know this sounds delirious, right? But I can't tell you how many times this very scenario is happening right now all over town, all over the state, all over this country. This is happening. Okay. There's an indication it didn't appraise, but somehow, you know what? We're already here at the tail end. We treat it like a task instead of an investment. And we go, you know what? Here we go. I'll pay the difference. So now you're essentially in this home for $560. Susie's in this house for $560. It's really worth $550. This is at the time when rates were like 7%. And long and behold, something happens in the future, whether it's the tech wreck or a job market crash or something. And now there's not enough free capital out there or motivated buyers out there enough to purchase this property for even $450 or $480. So here's Susie at $560 on this house, and it's worth $500 now or $450 on this house. And everybody and their mom, all the lenders that were advertising on TikTok and Instagram that said, marry the home, date the rate. Such a crock of shit, right? They say this to you to give you hope that down the road, eventually you'll be able to refinance. So now it's refinance time, and her rate's 7.25%, and she's able to go to 3.5%, but her house doesn't appraise. So she's stuck. So she has the option of either paying more down to bring the loan to value down, meaning to preserve some equity in the home so she can achieve a refinance. But wait, Susie doesn't have the funds. She bought the house with 3.5%, or 5% down. So she already used her 401k for down payment money and closing costs. She can't refi. So she's stuck at the rate that she had. I feel like this might end up being the story tale for a lot of people in the near future. Okay. That's my opinion. There's no, that's what I think could happen. It is a real reality that could take place. It is a real option that could take place. So here are some things that I'm doing to combat that situation. I'm a buyer. I'm an investor. I want to purchase properties with enough spread on them to where I can renovate them, make them nice, and sell them for a profit. It sounds all cool. Oh, he's a flipper. Because we've gotten so numb from seeing so much HGTV and flip or flop. They condense a 30 to 60 or 90-day project in a 30-minute episode that's really 18 minutes long because of commercials, right? And we look at it and we're like, man, this is something I can do. And every time we go to Home Depot or Floor & Decor or Lowe's, we're like, man, the material, that's cool. That's cool. And we start becoming the designers. The reality is there's a lot more work that's involved. Okay. It's not all, glitz and glamour. You can lose real money doing this. There's a lot of risk involved. The market can, crumble right from underneath you. So that's why I got to look at homes that have good spread on them. So here's what I do. Okay. I look for homes that are cosmetic fixers that I can be in and out of, or I look for homes that need a lot more work where I can actually show reports and, show material fact that the seller may not know about, but now once they know about, they cannot escape from. Okay. And I'm not doing anything mean. I'm not doing anything evil. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just following the accordance of the contract. So I'll give you an example. I'm looking at a home right now. It's $340,000 for the acquisition price. The after repair value on this home is $450,000. So I already have a $110,000 spread. But I know it's going to cost me about $70,000 with closing cost commissions as well as repairs. So that's a lot of money, and any time from now and permitting and fixing and getting it on the market and finding a buyer, the market could come down. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I want to try to secure this home for 320 or 300. So I did some inspections. Inspections are your friends. I don't want to pretend to ever say that I know everything. I don't. So I want to hire somebody who is much better or experienced or licensed to do, is qualified to do that type of investigating for me. So I hire a company who I think is the best company around. I really like working with them. If you want a referral for a home inspector, please send a message down below and I'll share my contact with you. He goes there, he checks out the roof. He checks out the home. He checks out the crawl space. He checks out everything. And then after that, he explains it to me. I'm there on site with him. We're going to be there 2 to 4 hours together. Unlike the traditional transaction where usually the real estate agent will put the home inspector, the roof inspector, the pest inspector all on the same day, I don't like doing that. I like to get my home inspection first. I like it explained to me like a third grader on what he has found that is going wrong with it. Now you ever heard that saying, I know enough to be dangerous? So now I know enough to be dangerous. At that point, the next day, I get my pest guy over. Okay. My pest guy or gal will come over. They'll check everything out. And if they miss something that the home inspector already pointed out, I will bring it to their attention. Like, hey, did you miss this? 9 out of 10 times they don't miss it. But if they come back and they try to tell me something that doesn't make sense or is conflicting with the home inspection, I can actually have an educated conversation with them about it. Most of the time, the pest inspector is going to be looking specifically for wood destroying pests, termite, that's what's pretty popular in our region. And they're going to see if there's any signs of any infestations throughout the home, peers to the dry rot. This is the stuff they're going to tell me. They're going to also give me a report on what it's going to cost to take action to remedy those issues. The third and final is going to be my roof. Now, remember, I already got my home inspector who's gone on the roof, that's taken pictures, that's told me what's going on, that's trained to look at roofs. And usually the homes I'm looking at are composite shingle, asphalt shingle, they're shingle roofs. So when my roofer goes out there, these are the ones in all my years, it's a catch-22 with getting a roofing inspector to come out because they also are roofers. So I've seen cases where you put a brand new roof on and the roof inspector says, this needs a new roof. Or, I'm only going to do a 2-year cert. And you're like, here's the invoice. It was done last week by a licensed roofer. So because of my past experiences, I really don't trust anybody. So this is why I do it in a domino style fashion for my inspections. When the roofer comes out, if he certifies it, great. If he doesn't, if he or she doesn't, then I have that as well. I tidy up and put all my forms together. I write on them or I highlight them. Okay, on the rough draft copies. I send the original PDFs, but then I send my copies of things that I'm fearful of. After all the inspections are done, let's say I have a 7-day or 5-day investigation period. I'll pay the extra to get a rush, and I'll usually get my stuff done the first 3 days. I use the following 3 days, every single hour of those days, to get multiple bids, to see how much I can get them for lower with still not sacrificing the quality of work. So I'll do that. I'll get the bids. So now I got this roof inspection says $12,000 for a new roof, but I have this roofing company saying they'll do it for $7,900. You know, maybe it's only 18 squares and they can do it for $7,900 because they need the work. Or I'll have somebody say, hey, you know what? The HVAC is shot and the quote for a new HVAC is $15,000. And I might find an HVAC company that can do it for cheaper. Okay. Every one of those lower price bids, they're licensed. Okay. They're insured, they're bonded, and I'm still not sacrificing quality. I'm just able to get it for a lower price point from my starting bids that I got. I don't have to disclose my lower bids to the seller. All I need to disclose are the reports. Okay. If the seller wants to get their own bids after I send them the reports, that's on them to do their investigation, their homework. So let's say my home inspection, my pest inspection, my roof inspection come out to like $40,000. Now, this was not disclosed to me, right? I got into contract fairly. I beat out the other people. I said, hey, I'm buying this house. I'd like to pay your price. And now I'm in contract on this home. My contract states that I have a no loan contingency, no appraisal contingency, but I have an investigation contingency. A contingency, for anybody watching, is a fancy schmancy word for back out period. Okay. So I have this ability to back out and get my deposit back if we're not able to come to terms, the seller and I. The day before my 7th day, I send in the reports, and I also send a request for these to be repaired or a reduction in price. So I'm at $340, it's $40,000 in repairs. I'm going to ask for $300. Now they have several options. They have an option to say, no, we're not going to do any repairs. We'll see you later. And then the ball's back in my court. I'm not canceled on, but I do need to, figure out if this price point's still going to work with the new bids that I have. So the ball's back in my court. I can avoid making a foolish mistake and not being a Susie in that scenario I gave. Okay. The second option they have is they can go get bids if they want. And then they can say, hey, well, we found it for cheaper. We'll do the repairs. Okay. And now the burden's off me. That's great. I'd love that. The third option is they could say, you know what? Let's negotiate price. Maybe they don't want to go all the way down to 40,000 for the reduction. Maybe they have a number they have to hit for payoff, or, people, beneficiaries that need to be paid, whatever it might be. Maybe they have a number. Okay. But either way, if they cancel on me or if we decide to part ways, they now have to show those inspections they have to disclose now the new material fact that they're aware of to the next buyer that comes on board that wants to buy it. Hey, you know what? The guy canceled. We learned some new stuff about the home in our seller's disclosures. Just want to let you know, this is what's going on with the roof, the dry rot, the pest, blah, 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 the HVAC, right? So knowing that, they might have a more difficult scenario now with other buyers. So they're more apt to probably work with me. I'm still a ready and willing buyer. So this is the strategy that I do in order to purchase a home. Actually, there's really no strategy. I just follow the letter of the contract. Okay. The one helpful hint I'll give you is a lot of the times, not all the times, the agents that you're dealing with on the selling side, it's very emotional. It's very sales, maybe. Okay. I don't participate in that. I'm black and white. If I realize that I'm dealing with somebody who is going to be a little bit more emotional, they're going to use more metaphors. They're going to talk to me like, "Hey, bud, hey, boss." Like they're going to give you every inclination that they're in sales, okay, versus an advising role or more of a follow the letter of the contract role. If I know that that's what I'm up against, I'm going to, once I get in contract, just communicate through writing. They can call me all they want. That's their preferred method of communication. I don't have to participate in that because I'm not going to get anywhere. All it's going to do is cause me anguish, stress, dealing with somebody who's not really up to par with you, So I'd rather just communicate through email and say, here you go, read receipts, work, and then text. If their texts go a little, sideways or emotional or stupid, then they're dumb, right? Because in the age that we live in, can't that just be screenshotted and put on Yelp? So you really have to think about this kind of stuff. You have to think about how you want to communicate with somebody in the profession of selling homes. So me personally, I like to keep things in writing. I follow the letter of the contract, and I'm scouting properties that are under market value. And there's plenty of them out there right now. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions or want to actually learn how to do this and you're in the Sacramento area, I don't have a course. I don't charge for a class. You're basically watching a video of somebody who was broke at one time, that had to learn this on his own. There's so many great tools out there. There's so many educational sources out there provided by our state, provided by our counties. But if you ever want to like learn this and you want to shadow, I'm more than welcome to allow you to participate and watch me on the next home purchase, whether it's through an auction or through just a regular MLS deal. If you found this helpful, please smash that subscribe button. I really appreciate you. Next time.